myself on screen. Welcome to Badger Beer Hour. A week late, but we're still here for August. End of the summer. We have a really interesting and fun show waiting for you. We have Eric Rykal from Modicum Brewing in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, taking over the old K Point Brewing spot. I don't know if you remember that spot. Really nice little nook and cranny kind of brewery tucked in the back there. That nice little store. But I'm having so we'll have that in about 15 minutes. I just wanted to let y'all know I'm having New Glarus Totally Naked, which everybody has. If you're a Wisconsin beer fan, I'm sure you've had this before. You understand it. You get it. Old classic. Got it out of the variety pack this year, which y'all should check it out. Of course, but it's New Glarus, so I shouldn't have to tell you that. Chris is going to have some news for us. We have all kinds of events. Oktoberfest is on the horizon. I mean, obviously, it's already in the beer stores, but it's going to be the parties are starting to happen. So without further ado, my bad. And Joel takes us to Janesville, Rock County, a little bit below Madison here where I'm at. So I'm interested. Y'all should be interested in seeing what's going on there. And without further ado, we're going to get to the news. Good evening, Chris. Landon is busy tonight, y'all. He had some previous things that came up, so I will be anchoring the news with my friend Chris.
He's big time in us. I believe, I'm confident that you can execute some very important duties in the news segment here.
I hope. Chris, what are you drinking now?
I got myself before I even knew what you were getting, I got myself a New Glarus Staghorn. 'Tis the season, buddy.
How's it drinking this year?
How do you think it's drinking? Same as last year. Same as every year. It's awesome.
Okay.
I mean, not to be silly or anything, but
yeah. Sometimes those little tweaks we notice because we're so fickle as craft beer people. So what's not fickle though is the news.
Oh, right? Yeah. That's right. We're talking news. Yeah. What do you want to talk about first?
Oh, this is my part. My bad. We're going to lead with some pretty big national beer news, actually, that affects Wisconsin, of course.
Yeah. So this little beverage outfit that you may have heard of, called Molson Coors. Coors, is divesting a pretty big chunk of its craft brewers this month. It is selling Hop Valley from Oregon, Terrapin from Athens, Georgia, Revolver, which is down in Texas, and Atwater breweries. Atwater's in Detroit. And these are all breweries that they've acquired over the past few years. 3 of them came on board into the Molson Coors family. Actually, it might have even been Miller Coors back in 2016 when they acquired those. Notably, one non-Wisconsin angle in this is that it is not affecting Blue Moon or our friends at Leinenkugel's. And that's kind of it for the craft or crafty brands left in Molson Coors beer portfolio at this point. If you scroll through there's a lot of seltzers and canned cocktails and all kinds of various things. Those are the ones that are getting the old heave-ho. And where are they going, Greg? Where are they going? They're going to Tilray, a Canada-based company whose main business is cannabis. Yeah. And but I mean, craft beer, people who follow the craft beer industry know this name because just a year ago they bought out 8 brands, kind of craft brands from Anheuser-Busch. So they are going on, they're kind of like when these big breweries want to unload, when they're done with the craft stuff, they're going to Tilray. So some of those beer brands that they bought from ABI a year ago would be, did I say ABI without Anheuser-Busch InBev? Yeah, okay. Anheuser-Busch InBev, the Bud people. Although, national, global, or international beverage brand and all that stuff. Okay, so the stuff that Tilray bought from from ABI a year ago we're looking at Shock Top, Breckenridge, Blue Point, 10 Barrel, Red Hook, Widmer Brothers. These are mostly pretty old line craft brands, with the exception of Shock Top, which they kind of created as a response to Blue Moon. That and I mean, this is a pretty big. This has been a pretty big bloodletting for these two companies combined in the craft world. I mean, obviously, we know the direction that craft beer has been. It had been going up, 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 and now it's kind of flattening out. And this is a pretty clear indication that the big boys don't really want to play in that space a whole lot. Unlike Molson Coors, though, ABI still has some pretty significant investment in the sector. They've got stuff like, well, Goose Island is staying there. They've got like the St. Archer brand. Actually, is that the Molson Coors one? What do I got here? Here it is. Elysian, Devil's Backbone, Four Peaks, Golden Road, Carbach, so Wicked Weed. So those are all still within the ABI brand, which is I think is kind of relevant to where their stance generally. But Tilray has been, I mean, lately they've been buying kind of in bulk, but back in 2020 they bought Sweetwater down in Atlanta, 420 Pale Ale, one of your favorites, Greg, I know. Which, at that time that seemed like, well, that makes sense. You got a wheat company buying a craft brewer that's, his brand is kind of built around that. And then they also bought Green Flash and I think the Alpine brand from I guess it was Green Flash at the time. Green Flash had built that big brewery out in Virginia. Big yikes. A few years earlier, and they were on the chopping block, or on the auction block, I guess, for probably a pretty pennies on the dollar is what I'm guessing for that. And that was in 2022 that they bought that. So Tilray is now up to, if you include the breweries that they just bought from Molson Coors, they are up there in number 4 craft brewing, or is it craft or overall brewing companies in the country according to the Brewers Association. So pretty major player. Obviously these brands are all very kind of like out there in terms of national standing, mostly because of their previous owners distribution connections, which is why you got to be wondering, why is this Badger Beer Hour news story? Were you wondering that? I don't know.
Yeah.
That might be a straw man. You might be totally interested in this no matter where you're from. Okay. But the Terrapin connection is really what makes this a Wisconsin story. Terrapin has been brewed at the 10th Street Brewery in Milwaukee for at least a few years. You remember, I don't know if anybody who lives in Milwaukee and goes to Summerfest all the time remembers when all of a sudden like Terrapin was everywhere at Summerfest, at the Bucks Arena, at any of these kind of large venues that are I don't want to say controlled by the distributors, but they tend to have rather robust agreements with distributors. In this case, the Beer Capital, which is the Miller Molson Coors distributor in Milwaukee, and they have a lot of pull. So basically, when a venue or a festival or whatever kind of wanted a craft brand available, and they probably didn't really care a whole lot what it was, they would say, well, we want to have some craft beer, and then there'd be Terrapin IPA would basically be what they have there. And so that is going to be an interesting thing to watch, is whether, because Terrapin is still a thing, it will probably still be distributed to Wisconsin, even though it's not going to be made here anymore. So what does that, I imagine that just goes away. Does that mean that Liney's is going to start showing up in those places again? Does that mean that there's going to be more pressure on Liney's to brew kind of some more less shandy-ish and less lagerish things, and maybe get into the IPA, which is still like half of craft beer. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be an interesting thing to watch how or if Molson Coors really tries to play into the craft segment any further than they are, because this is a pretty clear movement away from it. And I would imagine that they're going to have customers and distributors that still want those kinds of beers from them. So, blah blah blah. This deal is expected to close this month. Maybe close already. Probably not. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's closed yet. And another closing related thing, AC Golden, which is this little experimental brewing arm of that was based out of the Coors Brewery in Golden, Colorado, is also closing, which is too bad. They had a lot of interesting things kind of came about there, and they had a interesting brewery, or an interesting line of beers called Colorado Native, that focused on locally grown barley and hops and stuff. So that's a little bit of a bummer. One thing, Tilray's been on this brewery buying spree, but in Brewbound they had an interview with the head of Tilray, and it was a pretty candid conversation that was interesting. If you just Google, Molson Coors Tilray, you'll find the Brewbound story. Highly recommend reading it if you're interested in this story. But he suggested that this was definitely a purchase of opportunity, that it's not like they are out there shopping, like, knocking on doors saying at individual craft brewers saying, hey, are you interested in retiring or selling or whatever? This was a purchase of opportunity, which I would guess also means the price is pretty low. I mean, 2016 was, if you look at the arc of valuation of the craft industry, 2016 was probably buying pretty high. So that is that story, Greg. Any questions? I feel like I'm a lecturing.
Nah, I just find it interesting that especially after when there was this big panic in craft beer about big beer buying all the crafts. Now we see them divesting in it, and the whole thing is just fascinating on some level. I hit up Chris's Twitter. If y'all want to talk more about this, I probably will. This is a very interesting subject, and we could literally probably talk 45 more minutes about it, just because there's so many different dynamics. But yeah. I'm gonna hit me up on. I would love to talk about this more. It's fascinating. It's a whole bunch of things going on, but yeah, Chris, it's I see there's a new era happening for UW sports, and it's related to beer.
Yeah, we got a UW sports story out here in Badger Beer Hour this month. So Friday night's game, Badger game at Camp Randall. Brett, we're here. College football is here already, Greg. It's summer's toast.
Summer.
It's toast. So it's gonna be the first UW football game, I think, ever. I don't think this was like a change that they made. I think they just never had it. Beer sales anywhere in the stadium. Alcohol sales happening. General seating areas. They've had them in like suites and stuff like that, but this is the first one where they're opening up for everybody. And I'm fascinated how this is going to work, what's going to look like.
Clearly in the parking lot too, they had the beer. Sorry.
What's that?
Clearly in the parking lot, they had the beer.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, everybody knows everybody's half in the bag or beyond the bag.
Well, Chris, real quick before you finish,
you got to get
before you finish. Yeah, and it's a little weird for UW, in this state, Wisconsin, for this to be the first game with beer sales. It's just something I double took on this. So keep going, because I was like, wow, really? In this state, this is very
wow.
But
I mean, UW has always been very, they're proper. They want to do the right thing, and
Sure.
I think, but I mean, it's the money. I think they were the 14th. There's only 2 Big Ten schools out of 16 now that don't allow alcohol sales in their stadiums, and I think they'll keep it. I don't know. I'm just curious, like, from a beer landscape perspective, what it's going to look like, and like, what are the brands that are carried, how expensive it's going to be, stuff like that. And we don't. The thing is, this Camp Randall is actually the last of the UW athletics venues to come online with this. That hockey started last year, and and there, I think this is at, I'm not sure if this is at Kohl Center or LeBon for the women's team, but they had Coors Light, Miller Light, Busch Light, and Bud Light. That's a lot of lights. And then they also had Spotted Cow, Fantasy Factory, and Capital Wisconsin Amber. So that's interesting, local stuff. And if you notice, that is two competing distributor houses there. So, you know, a lot of times in most of these sports venues, you don't see Miller and Bud on the same tap tree. You know, you have they basically just do the easy thing and just pick one distributor and go from there. So I think, you know, credit to them for doing that well. We'll see what happens at Camp Randall. State Journal was at the field house for a volleyball game last week. That was the first time they had it there. And it was only 3 beers: Coors Light, Potosi's Varsity Golden Ale. Remember, we talked about this a few months ago. They rolled this out. It is a NIL support beer, name image likeness support thing that Potosi Brewing Company is doing with it's like the Badger Boosters Club kind of thing. So money from that sale goes to support student athletes, is what the way they describe it. So I would expect, I'd be shocked if that beer is not at Camp Randall. So interesting stuff. And dude, guess who's going to the game tomorrow? Friday.
Oh, excellent.
I gotta get my little hat, or I don't know, little jersey or something. I'll wear my my Brooks Bollinger jersey at the deep cut for the Badger fans out there.
Yes, I remember that name.
But I will be definitely paying attention to the prices and of general availability, brand availability. So
yeah, get a couple snaps for us. Yeah, get a couple of snaps for us. We like to report that. So over in your neck of the woods, Chris, this is always good to hear that a new tap room has opened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one's been a long time coming a bit. If loyal watchers of the Badger Beer Hour will know that Milwaukee Brewing has been looking for a tap room. Well, the guys from Eagle Park Brewing have been looking for a space for a Milwaukee Brewing tap room in the city of Milwaukee for quite a while, and they got it. This was actually announced a while ago, but it finally opened. They had a grand opening a couple weeks ago. It's in the former Tonic Tavern. Hey, there it is. I took that picture. I was right there. That's their grand opening night. They had a band there on the the purple area is a little side little music stage, which is of course core to the Eagle Park like thing. Like they, you know, those brothers and Jake started as a band. And so this is the former Tonic Tavern, right on KK, right in the busiest little nexus of Bayview in Milwaukee. And it's an interesting space. It's very like open inside out kind of thing. A lot of big garage doors. It was a beautiful night when I was here for the opening, and they had you know, a really big patio and kind of the smaller, cozier space that you see here. And you know, I think it's going to be a great spot for 3 seasons. Winter, obviously they'll shut it down, but it still feels like kind of tight and cozy in there. I think it looks like a great space. They had a lot of beers on tap. Almost all of them were the Milwaukee Brewing brand, which they've really built out. They've probably have a dozen maybe MKE beers. They had a handful of Eagle Park beers and kind of like the seltzer, you know, ecto cooler kind of deals. And then a bunch of house distilled cocktails. They're making brandy and you know, other spirits under the MKE name as well. At their distillery in Muskego, they had like a special signature old fashioned that was like $8 or something for it's a pretty nice space. And you know, the backstory of course here is that Milwaukee Brewing has been in Milwaukee. They were one of the, I think they were the fourth craft brewery in the city. They operated the ale house for a long time. This is going back into the early 2000s, and built a big new brewery where Pilot Project is now, over in the Pabst district. And that was the wrong time to build a big new brewery, and they never came close to maxing it out. Went bankrupt, and Eagle Park bought the brand, basically, not the brewery but the brand, and they kickstarted that. They launched that. When was that? Last summer, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Seems right.
Yep. It was last summer. Mm-hmm.
And this is a realization of something that I think that Jake and Max, recognized pretty early on, is that it was important to them to have a Milwaukee brewery branded tap room in the city of Milwaukee. So you can't get much more city of Milwaukee than that little corner of Bayview. So very cool. Congrats to those guys.
Yes, and we're going to wrap up the news here with a little celebrity sighting.
Yeah, dude, this is fun. Yeah, people saw me at the Great Taste. I'm the celebrity.
No, it was these guys. It was these guys. What are you talking about?
Oh, no, that's not. That's way more. That guy's way more famous than I am. It's Green Day. Well, it's Billy Joe. That's Billy Joe Armstrong, which is a much taller head than I remember him having in that picture. So yeah, that's Green Day, and that's Lakefront Brewery. Green Day's in town for this huge concert with Smashing Pumpkins and Rancid. I didn't realize that they're playing with Smashing Pumpkins and Rancid. Otherwise, I might have gone to that concert last weekend. But they came early. This is last Friday. They were playing that big show at AmFam Field on Saturday, and they came early to hang out in Milwaukee, as one does these days. Milwaukee's cool as hell. So they had a little fish fry, or at least Billy Joe had a little fish fry, and I think Trey Cool, is it either drummer? You're a big Green Day guy, right, Greg?
I wouldn't say big, but I'm familiar. I think he's a drummer. He looks familiar though, for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, the fellow in the blue shirt there is Lakefront guy and friend of show Andy Junk, and he spots Billy Joe Armstrong like eating fish fry as he's leaving for the day, and he had just sent out his little newsletter to media people with all the events that Lakefront's doing over the weekend or over the next week and stuff, and then he like came back, and I'm at the Paragraph Factory just pounding away on my computer, doing my stuff. I wasn't that bad. It was good, but I get the email and I'm like, oh, Andy's email, Lakefront, cool. What are they doing? And then it came back later. He's like, actually, we just spotted Billy Joe Armstrong at the tap room. I'm like, oh shit, that's cool. Obviously, stopped by the Bronze Fonz on the way later in the day, so it's very exciting. I mean, who more famous than that was going to be in a Wisconsin brewery this month? Like probably Landon, maybe Landon. Think he's got Billy Joe Armstrong cracked?
Well, and we had the RNC here recently, so there's could have been a whole lot.
Yeah, but that was not this month.
Oh, my bad.
And I don't know. I don't know if anybody went to any breweries. Like Trump didn't go to any breweries. That's for sure. You got to go pretty high up the ladder to get above Green Day, dude.
That's what I'm saying.
In my opinion.
Yeah. You know where they can be found when they come around, Chris. So.
Oh my gosh! And that.
Listen.
Is the Badger Beer Hour news for? Oh wait, we're not doing it.
No, you're being an American idiot again. And we're forgetting.
Such a good walk off, Greg.
I gotta get them all in. Oh my goodness. Anyway, we have. You always forget, and he's been here for how many months? How many months has Joel been here, giving us the brewery report? And Chris just forgets every month.
It's as its own segment. That's all.
Oh. Okay.
I never forget about Joel. Come on.
How do you forget about Joel? He's been to every brewery in this country. What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, not every.
It's close.
Yeah, I'm like the pundit who's like blabbering on, and then Joel comes in and he's the one with the map, and he's the guy who's like doing the
Right.
thing with the.
He's the organized guy of this group. Yes, we are the chaotic. He's bringing us. Yeah. So anyway,
All right.
Chris, this is where we shut up and we let Joel talk. I'll even get off.
Well,
screen.
I don't. You guys covered one of the things already, talking about openings and specifically Milwaukee Brewing opening up their satellite location there in Milwaukee. And there are two other openings as well. In theory, one of them falls for sure underneath kind of the other category, and that is the Standard Goods Beer. And they are the newest brewery to be brewing at our friends at Pilot Project here in Milwaukee. And I did confirm that they are brewing at the Milwaukee facility and serving at the Milwaukee facility. This is not a situation where they're just brewing in Chicago and shipping it up here.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that kind of attributes them to now they are, I don't know where they're technically based in, but the fact that they're being brewed here and serving it here is kind of a fun little thing. I have not gone down there to try it yet. I hope to do that soon. And then the other one is even more of an interesting opening. And I would argue that it's one of the more interesting openings that we have had in Wisconsin in quite some time. And that is Pal's Brewing opening up their second location in the Wisconsin Dells. So this may seem like a very random brewery, and it is a random brewery. They're based in North Platte, Nebraska. And funny enough, they were my milestone 600th brewery visit when I stopped through on a random road trip with my wife and kids. And they treated me very well. They were awesome there. And three of the co-founders are originally from Wisconsin, specifically Wausau. And that is apparently they were wanting to do a second location in Nebraska. Things just weren't working. This opportunity came through. I think, I forget if there's some sort of group or something that they partnered with for this. I can't remember the name of it now, but anyway, they had this opportunity to open up in the Dells, new facility. It looks gorgeous. It's right off the freeway. I'm definitely looking forward to checking it out at some point. Some good solid beers there. And yeah, and arguably the best news is that nobody closed either.
All right.
So
that's a big one.
We are aware of at least. And so that brings, you can see on the screen there, some total numbers. We have the 225 individual breweries. That number did not technically change. And then the 278 overall. Here's the county breakdown, which once again has not really fluctuated much since we started this endeavor of trying to track the number of breweries in each county. And as always, we'll close it off. If you have any information in regards to a opening or closing, in particular in those far-reaching, more rural areas that may have small breweries that only have a Facebook page, if you hear of anything, make sure to send us an email at badgerbeerhour@gmail.com. Or you can reach out to any of the four of us on Twitter or the Badger Beer Hour Twitter, Instagram. We always talk about it at the end. You know where to find us if you need to find us.
Joel, question about Pals.
Yeah.
They're brewing at that location?
I believe so. They just opened, so I don't know if they are actually brewing. I believe the plan is to brew there.
Okay. Because I know that was the question that we weren't really sure about when we talked about that story back in a year ago. Whatever it was.
I was trying to see that. Let me check on their thing. But yeah, I would want to completely confirm that. I believe that's the plan, but they just opened. So I'm guessing if they are planning to, they are not yet, though, would be my guess.
Okay. Got it. Awesome.
Excellent.
And that is Badger Beer Hour News for August.
There we go.
Okay. I have to put down the goofball hat and get on the serious interviewer hat now for this one. I am pleased to be joined tonight by Eric Rykal. He is the owner and brewmaster at Modicum Brewing in no longer Altoona, now Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Eric, welcome to Badger Beer Hour.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so you're here for some newsy related things that I kind of alluded to here. But can you first tell us about kind of the backstory of Modicum? When did you start up? What's your background?
Sure. Yeah. I've been brewing, for 15 or 16 years now for a lot of breweries in the area in West Central Wisconsin. And then in 2017, decided to open my own place. So we opened Modicum in July of 2017 in Altoona. Operated in that space for about 6.5 years. We were gearing up for a relocation to a brand new location in Eau Claire. And we just ran into some nightmare scenarios where the whole thing kind of went off the rails due to things outside of our control. And we ended up not having a location to move into. We were licensed to move in there. So we ended up having to close down, and never thought we'd reopen again. And here we are a year later, and we're open. So
how long? So it was a year that you were closed without any beer going out?
Yeah, total about 9 months, I think. Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
So what can you tell us about what happened there? I mean, you may not want to go down to the weeds too much, but I mean, kind of like what happened? I mean, was this new place built out already?
No, it was in the process of being built out. A lot of why the whole thing fell apart has to do with just the regulatory side of licensing a brewery. We were licensed to move into the new location with our federal permits, which expire on one day and then start in the new location on the next day. I mean, they literally say like at midnight, you have to stop producing beer in this location and start producing beer in the other location. So some things on the construction side and with the owner of the building kind of fell way behind schedule and then ended up falling apart completely. And when that happened, we were kind of stuck in this strange in-between place because of our permitting. We're not a candy store or a shoe store or something. We can't just pick up and move down the street. We're a federally licensed manufacturer of a controlled substance, and that permitting is very difficult to change once it's in place. So when our new location really just fell through, we were all prepared, ready to move in there. And all of a sudden it just kind of evaporated before our eyes. And because we were permitted to operate in that space, it's not like we could go find another location. When everything kind of fell apart, I think over the course of 3 weeks, I had over 70 meetings with, the city, several municipalities, with real estate developers, with all sorts of people trying to figure out, all right, where can we go? But eventually you just kind of run into this situation where you think, even if we find the perfect location tomorrow, even if everything goes perfectly to plan and the financing works out and we get our permitting, done in record time, we'd still be probably a year or more out from opening. And so the prospect of running a business with little to no income for over a year, when you have employees relying on you for a paycheck and that sort of stuff, it became untenable pretty quickly. We looked into a few contract brewing options to kind of tide us over as we built things out, but it just started to get unbelievably expensive, and it just wasn't going to be a good long-term solution for anybody.
So wow. It's pretty remarkable here that you're here talking to us about this new chapter of Modicum with all that in mind. How did you get out of that morass and to where you are now?
Well, I mean, we literally just shut down. I never thought in a million years we'd reopen. People kept telling me, oh, you'll reopen, you'll find a space. And my response was, no, I really don't think we will. I actually got a different job for about 5 months, and I went back to another brewery that I used to work for, running their lab and their quality control program, and was just kind of planning on doing that for the foreseeable future. And then all of a sudden, this opportunity to take over this space that we're currently in just kind of fell into my lap. Tom Brenneman, who was the owner and brewer at K Point Brewing on the south side of Eau Claire, called me one day and he said, I want to retire. I want to be out of here. And there's a brewery here. It's just sitting here ready for you to move in. So, we very quickly made things happen. And, within a few months, honestly, in record time, we were in there brewing, and we opened in, beginning of July.
That, I mean, it's hard to, I think it's hard for somebody who's just kind of like following beer news or enjoys beer to like fully grasp how like unlikely that is, I guess, that
Yeah,
that you can open a new location of any brewery in just a couple months is pretty wild. So tell us about this. Well, one thing I'd like to jump back to is, I mean, you had planned to make this move with, and that's kind of a kind of a revisioning of what you wanted to do. Can you talk about like what you were, what Modicum was before, what you wanted to do in the new space, and how did that translate into the current? I mean, is it basically that new vision is just in a different location, or how did that all kind of shake out in terms of like, rethinking what the brewery is going to be?
Yeah, it's a little bit of the original vision for Modicum, and a little bit of the planned vision for the relocation. We've kind of just wound up in this kind of middle area. But when I started Modicum to begin with, I mean, the vision is in the name. I'd spent my entire career brewing for constantly growing, constantly expanding breweries. And I never wanted to own my own place. People would ask me, back in the heyday when breweries were opening left and right, everyone kept saying, when are you going to open your own place? And my answer was always never. I never want to own my own brewery. What kind of idiot wants to own their own brewery?
Happy being an employee. Yes.
Yeah. People pay me to make beer, and that's a dream. But eventually I just realized if I wanted to brew the kinds of beer that I wanted to make, I had to be the guy calling the shots. So, when I opened Modicum, my goal, having seen these constantly growing, expanding breweries, I wanted to stay as far away from that as I could. So our initial goal was really to be a 100% tap room only brewery. We opened with a 5-barrel brew house, and we were cranking out just shy of 500 barrels a year. Before we shut down, and we had really maximized that space. And I had always said I never wanted to grow. I never wanted to expand unless it would make my life or the lives of my employees easier. And so it kind of became pretty apparent that a small expansion was going to be necessary. We were never meeting demand, and we were constantly running out of beer, and we just outgrew the space. So we knew we needed to expand our production footprint a little bit. We also really wanted to improve the experience in the tap room. Our original location was a great spot to get started, but it was just that it was a very startup friendly space with not a lot of potential for improvement. And when you're a tap room focused brewery, the experience of your customers is by far the biggest thing we need to work on. So we had planned this kind of newer space with better outdoor seating, more production capacity, just an increased square footage in the tap room. We're going to have access to food. We are actually partnering with some friends of ours who own an amazing pizza place here in Eau Claire. And they sadly kind of got put in the same boat we were, and they had to shut down for a short while as well. Now they're finally reopening a new location for themselves. I'm very happy everything worked out for them as well. But now we've kind of ended up in this new space where our production capacity is slightly larger than it was. I wouldn't say it's a huge improvement, maybe more of a lateral move, with maybe a possibility down the road for expanding that. But our tap room experience is much improved. Our outdoor seating is much improved. We now have access to a kitchen with a full menu of food. So all of those things have kind of come to fruition, even though production-wise it was maybe more of a lateral step. But I'm actually okay with that. Again, the goal like I said, it's in the name. The goal was always to stay as small as possible while still being financially feasible. So I think we've hit that sweet spot.
What can you talk a little bit about, like, what specifically kind of informed that philosophy? I mean, you mentioned a couple times seeing that growth, and like, I think, like, you know, a lot of people on the outside, I think, envision growth as good, and that's like kind of the point of a business. For many people, this is a very different kind of approach. How did you get to that goal?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's just, I'm a brewer. I'm not a businessman. I've always said our brewery has succeeded despite my every attempt to drive it into the ground. And I actually did succeed in doing that once, so that's good. Yeah, to me, it's just about focusing on what we're good at. And I think for us, we really wanted to declare what it is we do and do that well and not focus on doing anything else. I have this kind of hatred for this very American business idea that you have to appeal to everybody all the time. And if you're not appealing to everybody all the time, you are missing out on sales, and therefore you have failed as a business. For me, I'd much rather give my money and time to business endeavors or artistic endeavors, or however you want to see that really just focus on doing a handful of things very, very well. And so for us, that was always, setting a very small list of goals for the business. Growth was never one of them. It was always, make the best possible beer we can make, provide a good experience for our customers who come to visit us, and then be an active member in our community and pay, a good living wage and take care of our employees and make sure everybody's, able to live their life the way they want to and enjoy their job and have a life outside of work. And all of those things are very important to us. And those are the things we focus on. Sales and distribution are not part of that equation for us. If we can pay a good living wage and have a positive impact in the world and do what it is we love to do, to me, that's everything we need to focus on.
That's pretty awesome. I know Landon is a big fan of Modicum, and I'm starting to kind of understand why. But I also, one other thing that I should ask about is your beer like your approach to beer is something that my understanding is right in the wheelhouse of our interests here on Badger Beer Hour. Can you talk about the kind of beers that you make and where your kind of tastes lie stylistically?
Yeah, I would say my personal tastes definitely lie more with classic styles. I came up in an earlier era of craft beer where pale ale was king, and that was about
Ambers, baby.
Yeah, amber lagers and pale ales. Yep. So that's definitely where my interests lie. I definitely prefer more understated beers. I've never really been a fan of what I would consider more gimmicky things. I always say that to me a world-class beer is greater than the sum of its parts. And when you throw a ton of a fruit or an adjunct or something into a beer, that beer is no longer greater than the sum of its parts. If your beer tastes like chocolate because you put a ton of chocolate in it, then that to me is not interesting. But if you can make a beer that has no chocolate in it that tastes really chocolatey, then that's cool, or whatever the flavor is.
Mm-hmm.
So I tend to stick with the four basic ingredients. We don't do a lot of heavily adjuncted things. We don't do a lot of high gravity things. I like to drink beer, and I like to drink it in quantity. So most of the stuff we do is pretty standard strength, 12 Plato beers, or a little above or a little below that. It's not hip trendy beer. Well, lagers are kind of coming around a little bit now, so that's great. But we brew a lot of lager. We brew a lot of pale ale. Honestly, those are the two styles of beer that I like to drink the most. I love a good pale lager, and I love a really nice balanced American pale ale. So we brew a lot of that. But for me, it's just about providing complexity, and everybody says, you know, balance and drinkability, but I mean, those are important. But I like a subtly nuanced, complex beer that is just made from the basic core ingredients. I think that's much more interesting when you can get complexity and notes out of malt and hops and yeast that maybe most people don't know are possible. That's always really fun to me.
Yeah. That's great. I do want to ask one question. I believe we've talked about this on Badger Beer Hour quite a bit. This kind of new law that's allowing tap rooms and breweries to do a little bit more as far as their offerings that they don't make themselves. Did we actually say you are open? You opened back in July in the new spot, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So this is just this summer, still pretty fresh. But how is that? What kind of wine liquor offerings are you doing in the tap room? How does it kind of complement what you're doing with beer, and how's it going? How's it being received?
Yeah, so we have a pretty extensive whiskey selection. I'm a big whiskey nerd, so we have a pretty solid whiskey selection. We have a relatively limited wine selection. We have 3 reds, 3 whites, and we do offer a handful of cocktails, but nothing that extensive. I would say still with all of those offerings available, our sales are still over 90% beer. But it is really nice to have the option. You know, if a group of people comes in and not all of them are beer drinkers, you know, at our old location where we only had beer, they'd stick around for one and then they'd take off. So now we're seeing more retention, just in terms of you know, hourly over the course of a night, but also people coming back. If people know that they can get a glass of wine or get a cocktail or whatever while their friends drink the beer, then they're more likely to come back. And obviously, as a tap room only business model, our repeat customers are our bread and butter. Our regulars are the only reason we're here, and this allows us to reach to a new group of regulars. It's been a blessing, I think. I was a little worried at first, you know, that it would overshadow the fact that we are an actual brewery, and I didn't want to just be another bar. But we've been pretty selective in what we do. We're very selective in everything that we do. So, you know, our cocktail and wine menu is very, very limited. Our spirit selection is a little out of hand, I think, but again, it's a very limited portion of our sales. It's nice for. I find that a lot of beer nerds are also big whiskey nerds, so it's a great option.
Are you doing little snitches on little samples on all those fancy whiskeys that you got in there? Because
yeah, we'll pour everything in Glencairn for you. So it's pretty great.
Nice. Anything else? What are you excited about in the next coming weeks or months for as far as Modicum goes?
Well, I'm excited about getting our feet back under us. Since our opening, we've just been insanely busy. We're constantly running out of beer. So
the right problem to have, at least.
Great problem to have, but it's still a problem. And we need to remedy that pretty quick. So I'm excited about getting the production schedule more kind of tuned in. You know, we had 7 years of experience at the old place, so we kind of thought we knew what the trends would look like, and we're finding that in the new space we're just much busier. Part of that is just people glad we're back, but part of it too is I think our new location is just so much better, and we're in a much better locale, more easily accessible. So we're just busier in general, and we're trying to figure out how to keep production on pace with all that sort of stuff. And I'm excited about getting that underneath us. We're releasing our Oktoberfest beer in a couple of weeks, which always one of my favorite days of the year. Good excuse to bust out the lederhosen. When you own an expensive pair of lederhosen, you have to find as many excuses to wear them as possible. So
you have 3 Oktoberfest parties this year.
Yeah. We're going to have them for a week long.
I mean, you know, if you're maxed out on the beer stuff, maybe start pushing those whiskeys a little bit more.
Oh yeah, we've developed a bit of a reputation of having a great whiskey selection. We're attached to coffee grocery shop, a little bit of everything called the Coffee Grounds right next door to us, and they've been I have always explained that place as if you're a connoisseur of something, they sell it. Whether it be wine, whiskey, coffee, cigars, cheese, whatever you want, they've got it. And so we're really fortunate to be right next to them, and all the big whiskey snobs in town are coming there anyway. So
awesome, perfect. Eric, congratulations on this. Seems like an unlikely revival of Modicum, and keep killing it. I cannot wait to get up to or through Eau Claire. I will be definitely stopping in. That's sounds like 100% my wheelhouse. So
sounds great. Well, can't wait to see you.
All right. Cheers. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
Hey everyone, Joel Geyer here, and we are back for another rendition of Badger Beer Travels. And this month we are going down to Rock County, which is in the south central part of the state. We are going to be hitting up several breweries here, some new, some a little more established. But first, just a little bit of background on Rock County. Again, they're in the very, very southern edge of Wisconsin, got about 160,000 people total. Janesville is the county seat and the largest city. Beloit is kind of the other major city in the county. It's named for the Rock River. You're looking at, the distance from Madison, you're less than an hour from the state capital. Further up north, you're looking closer to 2.5, 3 hours if you're all the way up more towards Green Bay area. But pretty convenient for people, in kind of the Madison and Milwaukee area to hit up some breweries. And we are going to kind of get the lay of the land as we always do first. We will be stopping in at 5 breweries. We have G5 and Cheesehead Brewing in Beloit. We have Gray Brewing and Rock County Brewing in Janesville, and then Good Works Brewing in Milton. So first up, we will go to G5 Brewing, who is one of the semi-new-ish ones, although at this point they're 5 years old. So I just remember when they opened, so I guess that's why it makes it seem like they haven't been around that long. They are located kind of on the far northeast side of Beloit, opened up in 2019. Very much a modern brew pub. When you go there, it's a new build, the large open space, long cement bar, just has that very clean-cut, modern feel on the inside. They have a smaller second level that can be used for events. They have a very large food menu. I stopped through and looked at it. I myself did not need to eat, but they had, soups, salads, burgers, pasta, salmon, pizzas. If you're hungry, you're going to find something there that you want to eat pretty much. They actually did win in 2022. They won the best IPA at the Wisconsin IPA Fest here at Third Space in Milwaukee. So I want to say it was the Anonymous Caller Imperial IPA was the award winner, I believe. The name, if you're curious about the name, the G5 name, they're owned by the Gunderson family, and there's 5 of them. Pretty straightforward. Nothing too fancy about that. But I really enjoyed my visit here. Went there just a couple months ago. Hindenburg in a lightning storm, their Kolsch. They also make a really good Pilsner. Again, I mentioned the Anonymous Caller Imperial IPA. That was my personal favorite. And typically I wouldn't say an Imperial IPA would be my top pick. So definitely very good. But they also do some more fun stuff too. It's not just the 2 style things, the strawberry shortcake Berliner Weiss. They had some other fun sours and everything else, some good stouts. So very wide selection, both in terms of food and beer there at G5. Definitely worthy of a stop. The other place in Beloit is downtown Beloit, Cheesehead Brewing. If you couldn't guess by the name, there's a very strong Green Bay Packers theme here. And my son's name is Lambo, so there's no hiding where my allegiances lie. So getting to have a Cheesehead flight board poured out of Cheesehead tap handles was a very fun thing. They also opened in 2019. And if you're hungry, they also smoke their own barbecue, including, doing sandwiches and pizzas as well. So they actually have kind of a 2 storefront kind of type deal going on downtown there. One is a pretty traditional laid back bar area. And then the other side is where kind of the food kitchen is set up as well as the brewing equipment, some additional seating. So some of their flagships include the Lambo Leapin' Lager, the Cherry Alvarez, a cherry chocolate porter, vanilla cream ale, grapefruit hazy IPA. They don't have quite as wide of a selection as some of the others, but certainly, enough there to go on and check out and try. And then we head north now to Janesville and stopping in at Rock County Brewing Company. They have been around since 2017. They're located in the historic Carriage Works building right downtown. And they are also similarly, they have two kind of separate rooms with lots of seating, pinball machines. You can tell it's kind of an older building with some of the exposed brick. Cool little space. They've got an outdoor area kind of off to the side of the building. As is the case with many breweries, they like to have a weekly event. And in their case, they host a trivia night every Thursday. Talking with some people there, it seems like that's a pretty big draw. And they are definitely on the more traditional side of things when it comes to beer. And not just talking about the styles, but they aren't adding, any extra little frou-frou stuff on the names. You go there and you're ordering the beer that you're going to get, Kolsch, Hefeweizen, English dark mild, brown ale, Schwarzbier. I did notice they did have a salty peach sour, but for the most part, a lot of traditional European style beers, pretty much made to style, nothing fancy about that, which I think is a really good thing to see more breweries doing that kind of stuff. I'm guessing that they've pretty much stuck with that since they've been open. So nice little brewery there in downtown Janesville. And then the other brewery in Janesville is Gray Brewing Company. Now, I did not visit there because it is production only. I believe at one point they did have a tap room and tours and that kind of stuff, but they are currently only production. They were actually originally founded back in 1856 and moved to the current location in 1959 and currently operated by the fifth generation, currently Robert, or known as Fred, apparently, Gray II. So this is a very long established company. They also make a lot of sodas, and at certain times, I'm guessing you can guess what certain times, they made exclusively sodas. So root beer, grape soda, strawberry, orange cream, they make a variety of sodas along with their beers. Some of their beers that they make, they don't have a huge swath of available beers according to their site, but they have an Irish red ale called the Busted Knuckle. They make an oatmeal stout, an Oktoberfest, an IPA, a Radler. So, few different options. And again, similar to, the brewery here and around the Milwaukee area, Sprecher, they also make a lot of different sodas. So, another option that they have there. And the final stop is the newest brewery down there in South Central Wisconsin. That is Good Works Brewing Company in Milton. And they just opened less than a year ago, this last October, inside a former karate studio and grocery store that's in kind of the small little downtown area. I actually had the pleasure when I visited getting to talk with one of the co-founders, Josh Gibson, and he was a really fun guy to talk to. Really nice. He actually knew who I was when I walked in there, so that was kind of a fun little surprise that I wasn't really planning on. And he kind of gave me the whole background on the brewery. The name is representative of them wanting to be very community-based and community-focused, doing good works, good things in the community. And one thing I liked about their tap room that I find kind of interesting is that you walk in and it's kind of open with, the seating and the bar area that kind of is a U-shaped. And if you walk around down either side of the bar and walk to the back, it's you can walk back to the brewery and like the brewing area and view it from two different angles, which I thought was kind of interesting. And I was actually there about, I think, a week or two too early, unbeknownst to me, because when I was there, I think they had signage up that they were in the process of putting in a patio. And so there is now a beer garden alongside the building. If you are looking at the pictures on the screen, you can see kind of some of the sign stuff, the cones. The beer garden is right there alongside the building so that they can host more events, live music, et cetera, et cetera. And they had a lot of neat beers. I know talking with Josh that they're still brewing a lot of different things, kind of finding out what sticks. The Snapback Blonde Ale was quite good. They had a cream ale with coffee. Their hazy IPA was good. Making a porter, an amber ale. and a blueberry wheat ale that they kind of decided just to make because they had a good wheat ale, decided to throw some fruit in it. So this is a place that I would definitely go back and check out. Like I said, it was a newer brewery. Wish I was a little bit closer again, but I had a really good time talking with Josh and getting to kind of learn more of the background of the brewery. So that wraps up the 5 breweries there. We can go back to the map here and kind of take a peek. This is a little more spread out because similar to some of the other ones, I think this is the second time that we've done a county, second or third time. And so when we're not just zoned in on one city, obviously these breweries are a little more spread out than normal. You know, you're looking at half an hour to 40 minutes between if you wanted to go to all 5 of them spread out across the county. But if you have the time, you know, or just hit 1 or 2 at a time, if you are kind of down closer to that area, definitely kind of fun that county has really emerged to having a true craft beer scene at this point. And as always, whether it's where you're living or where you're visiting, be sure to drink local everywhere.
Hey, Chris.
Hi,
Welcome
Greg.
to paradise. I'm still on my Green Day tip, but no one's getting it. But whatever. We'll have to get through we got a lot of events, so we'll have to get through them quickly. First and foremost, Chris, I don't know if you've ever been to this one, but I have, and it's a fun one. It's the Thirsty Troll Beer Fest here out now.
Wait, hold on, Greg. I got one before that. We're going chronological?
I don't know what we're doing.
Let's go chronological. Let me jump you. Because I got one that's this Friday. It's at Broken Bat here in Milwaukee, and they're doing this cool thing. They've been doing this cool thing all summer where they pick one Friday night or Friday, I guess. And they call it Phone Free Fridays or something like that. And basically if you agree to like take your phone and like put it in like behind the bar, they will give you a free beer and you get access to like darts and pool and all that stuff for free, like games and stuff. But this month you're also getting a free brat from Johnsonville. There you go. No phone Friday, it's called. Not phone free Fridays. But so you get a brat, a beer, and like you can shoot pool for free. I mean, like what? And all you got to do is not answer texts. And the drawback that I see to this, of course, is that you're at a brewery that's centered, like the theme is baseball. And one of the most useful things that I find my phone for when I'm drinking out with friends is settling arguments about who's like the better player or what season was it when yada yada. So you can't look up Baseball Reference to settle like, you know, who's better, Hank Aaron or like, you know, Willie Mays or whatever. But free beer, that's good. One free beer. Let's not get crazy. Anyway, that's this Friday. This Friday at Broken Bat in Milwaukee.
And there's a charity aspect of this too, so that's fun.
That's true.
Yep. So
okay. Anyway, sorry to jump to your thirsty trollness there.
No. It's all good. No, the Thirsty Troll, the Grumpy Troll Beer Festival, which is in 2 Saturdays. We're gonna be we usually go chronological, but I'm kind of out of it today. So I just put them together, so we'll be jumping around. But because there's a lot of jumping around to do because there's a lot of Oktoberfest events and all kinds of things. But this is one of the first beer fests I've ever been to. It's a low key one. It's a laid back one. It's not, you know, even remotely to the size of the Great Taste of the Midwest. It's a really friendly one. I'm not sure about the location now, Tyrol Basin. I mean, I know where it is and I know what it is, but it will be interesting to see how that's incorporated. But probably nice views and everything. So, yeah, there's that. Anything to add to that one, Chris?
I have been to the Thirsty Troll. It's been a while, but and I think this is the first year that they're having it at Tyrol instead of used to have it, I think in a municipal park in Mount Horeb. But that's cool.
Yeah, it says it right there. Yep.
Oh yeah, it does say that.
Yep. Nope. New this year, the event will take place at Tyrol. So casual environment and suitable for families. So that'll be fun. That'll be fun. And that is one that I think is family friendly because again, it's a laid back one, but you can get your beer in on that one though for sure, y'all, for sure. So there's that. There's the Waupun Rotaries Annual Beer Fest, y'all. Obviously in Waupun, you see the details there. I guess there's going to be, it says beer bites and live music. So, I mean, that's everything for a good beer festival, right, Chris?
That's the stuff. I mean, the beer is mainly what I go for, but yeah, bites are good.
Absolutely. Y'all see the details there. So jump on, or if you're near, you can figure out the rest. Google's your friend. We also have this one, Chris, which I thought was interesting. Flight Night. This is at the Schlitz Autobahn's Flight Night. This is down there by y'all, isn't it? Oh, no. Yeah, it is.
Get it? Because Schlitz is kind of they one of the is they have raptors like hawks and owls and eagles and shit that you can So Flight
Night. You can literally hang with the birds and have some beer. And I would say that the proceeds go to Schlitz Autobahn, which is a good cause in itself.
Is that September 7th as well? Saturday, September 7th?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
Because we got a big one on Saturday, also in Milwaukee, the Milwaukee area, as that one is. Pilot Project Fest. Or Pilot.
Yes.
It's called Pilot Fest, right? Pilot Project
Fest.
They're having a big festival at Pilot Project with, what is it, 30 breweries or something? Maybe not quite that many.
It says 25 here. 25 plus and distilleries and
so
their brands.
A bunch of the brands from Pilot Project, but a lot of Milwaukee area breweries as well. And it's, your standard festival format. I think it's unlimited sampling in the beautiful Pilot Project location in downtown Milwaukee.
Yep. And no, this is new to Wisconsin, but it's not new. It normally takes place in Chicago, but they're bringing it up here for this year. I'm not sure if they're doing one in Chicago. Y'all Chicago people got to check that. But
and I will say, this is an event where you can see the Beer Baron. So if you go to Pilot Project Fest and you see me, say hi.
Yeah. And I'm about 90% too, Chris. So
yeah,
I'll see you there.
That's my guy.
That'll be great. That'll be great. Yeah, that's September 7th. So we have this one too, which is September 7th. Chris and I always joke that everything happens on the same day. So, especially in the summer, literally everything happens on the same weekend. This is another big one though. This is at a farm though. This is at Clearwater Farm. So while Pilot Project is probably in the city, this is out in the farm. I'm sorry, Chris. What'd you say? This is in?
That's out around Onalaska, western Wisconsin.
Yeah, Onalaska. Yes. So that's north of La Crosse, if I'm correct.
Yep.
So this is for. Yeah. So if y'all can't make it to Milwaukee to go drink beer all day, y'all have this. So check it out on Google. Click if y'all near. Obviously, y'all know Clearwater Farm. And y'all should be able to find those details. But we wanted to accent it to here to make sure people know. 4 to 8 on Friday, $50. Looks like a whole bunch of sponsors. Looks like a whole bunch of fun there.
Greg, how do we feel summer occurring after Labor Day?
What do you mean?
Well, it's after Labor Day. Is it really Taste of Summer if it's after Labor Day?
Taste of Indian Summer. How about that, Chris?
There you go.
That.
Just don't wear
Alaska, y'all. Yes, on Alaska. So our Oktoberfest season starts, y'all. Yeah. And one of the biggest places and best places to experience Oktoberfest year round is the Bavarian Beer House. We love that place. I love it. I know Chris loves it. But they have a whole schedule, y'all. You see the schedule here with the bands. It's just probably going to be rocking all the way through September. So y'all check those listings there. You see the bands. Y'all know what goes on if y'all been there. It's just, Bavarian style beer house featuring really great beer, nice German beers, nice parking lot. Nice. I just love the whole place, actually, Chris.
That their big beer garden, the what was it called? Old Heidelberg Park with the trees. That was where they had Lager and Friends, Greg, when we went. just a great spot. Good for drinking beer. Good spot for drinking beer outside in Wisconsin in September. Oh yeah.
Good German food too, as Joel wanted to point out. So man, we couldn't fit all the Oktoberfest events in, so this is a little bit of a list that we got. I would say, y'all, I would say that everybody has to check your local brewery listings for when their Oktoberfest comes out and what kind of celebrating they're doing. I think we just heard from Eric from Modicum. There might be a couple different, Oktoberfest things going on there. So y'all just dip into your favorite breweries, check them out. Here's a little bit of a list, but the list is extensive and it was too much for us to even remotely try to cover.
There's one other non-Oktoberfest event this in the coming month that I think we should talk about too. We got Earthrider. This is one of our favorite breweries. We have not had anybody from Earthrider on the show yet. We gotta remedy that maybe in the coming months here.
And I've never been there either, so I gotta remedy that too.
It is the Jan corner of the state, I mean, Superior is not exactly in the middle of everything, but it's their 6th anniversary, which shocks me that they've only been around for 6 years. But they've got 6 bands performing. They got new beer releases, fire spinners, aerials. We got aerial silk dancing. You ever seen that, Greg? With where they like climb and spin and stuff. It's amazing. Food trucks, all kinds of stuff. That's at Earthrider in Superior on September 14th. It is an all-day deal starting around noon and wrapping up in the evening. So lots of good stuff. And the beer is going to be awesome. That is a good brewery for session, like a long outing at a big beer event. A lot of good beers there.
Yeah. All right, Chris. And I'll let you. I think the last thing I have, or one of the last things I have here, I'll let you talk about this one.
What do we have? I don't even know what we've got coming up this weekend. This is we have every week Milmag puts out a calendar of all the beer events that are happening around the town on at breweries or beer adjacent things. So you can always go to MilwaukeeMag.com and check that out. I think that posts every Tuesday.
By Wednesday. Yeah, because he includes
to see it on your Wisconsin Beer Wednesday. You can check that out.
Yeah, and there's events tonight. I'm pretty sure Maggie was out. Maggie might have been out there with Revolution and their Oktoberfest tonight. So I purposely didn't put it there, Chris, because I want everybody in Milwaukee area to know that this goes on and to go and find it yourself at Milwaukee Mag. Almost, you can't bookmark it because it's a new post every week, but it's something that you can you can faithfully find there every week. So to me, if I lived in Milwaukee, I would be up on this to find out everything on this list, from tastings to, the big events. And then they also give you a little heads up at the bottom, or y'all give us a little heads up at the bottom about things coming. So it's really, really nice, especially for someone who's outside of Milwaukee. I have to plan coming there.
Have those too. Yep.
Yep. So, on the horizon, y'all, we have this one here, up your alley here, Chris, Lakeshore Park.
Yep.
There's going to be a beer and bonfire night, Wednesday, September 18th. That might be the next night Badger Beer Hour is. But regardless, y'all can take a canoe out, and there's going to be beer apparently, and there's going to be a bonfire. And it looks pretty fun. You show up. If you get there early, you can be first out on the lake, but it seems like, people will be out for 20 and 30 minutes. First come, first serve, from 5 to 7:30. So you got to get in there before the sun goes down, of course. And after you paddle, enjoy some s'mores and some yard games at the bonfire. Sounds fun.
One other event out on the horizon that we should definitely mention. I didn't mention this to you, Greg, but Fox Valley Lagerfest at, I believe it is at McFleshman's. Friend of show. We have so many friends of show at this point. But Bobby from McFleshman's put this together. It is is that the address? of the. It's kind of like an Oktoberfest, but it's lager. It's a little bit broader. 20 craft breweries, with some other stuff, live music, food trucks, a Steinholding competition, Hammerschlagen, of course. It wouldn't be a fall beer event without some Hammerschlagen. And you can find tickets at the McFleshman's Brewing Company Facebook page, Lagerfest in Appleton.
October the 5th.
Yeah, Saturday, October the 5th. And we'll cover that one for sure next Badger Beer Hour, but it's a nice one to mark off. It suspiciously sounded like an Oktoberfest celebration, but it's 30, a little bit out of the window, though.
It's a little different.
It's a little bit out of the window, so it's fine. Listen, if it is, it's fine. Either way, I'm down.
It does say dust off your dirndl and shake out your lederhosen, so
yeah,
so you don't. I think
it's fine now. It's fine. Either way, I'll show up.
Do you have a dirndl? You get that?
No,
I wish I. I love the dirndl look. That's real nice.
Yeah, Eric was making me jealous during the interview when he was saying he had an expensive one. I was like, oh, that sounds like fun. But he's right, though. How often are you going to wear that? So, that's fun. Well, anyway. Chris, thanks for doing events for me, man, or with us. And Landon will be back next month. So, for those Landon fans out there, he'll be back. He didn't go anywhere.
I actually lowered.
What was that?
I lowered my voice octave to try to make up for him being here.
It's not gonna.
I lowered.
It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. What's up? Wow. Yeah, and real quickly here, y'all. Since we last seen each other, y'all were at some kind of beer festival, weren't you? Joel, you're on mute, buddy.
Yeah, I was gonna say we were just at a little one in Madison.
Just a little baby festival. How was it, y'all? What was going on?
I mean, we couldn't have asked for a better day for it. I mean, I think Chris can agree to that. I mean, I remember there's been years I know where it's just been miserable hot. There was just hardly a cloud in the sky, just pretty much perfect weather. So many great beers. I know Chris and I agreed on several of some of the highlights. I know for me, two Ohio breweries, Street Side and Sonder, were both really big winners with their lager game. Yeah, they're right there. But yeah, Chris, what were your kind of couple highlights for beers? And I can add a couple other ones too.
I'm going to embarrass myself by not remembering the name of this brewery from Iowa.
Field Day, right?
Field
Day. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Just outstanding lagers. They decocted the shit out of everything.
I think they're North Liberty. I think they're in North Liberty, which is near Iowa City, I believe.
Yeah. And just dynamite, clean, pure. They were doing the milk pours of a couple of their Czech style beers that were just wonderful. I mean, that was kind of a highlight of one for me this year. I mean, that they were such a jaw dropping. I mean, jaw dropping and kind of falling over everything here, but it was truly a bolt out of the blue. And I went over there because I was actually looking for another brewery that had I think they had a Czech lager on cask, and it was the one next to it, and I saw Czech milk pours. I'm like, okay. And man, they were just awesome. Just great beers and cool dudes to talk to. So definitely on my list when I'm passing through Iowa now.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing, besides finding the best lagers I can find, which is pretty much what I try to do, I also enjoy trying to find some odd, weird, beers as well, because that's one of the places where taking the little 2-ounce swig of it is not the same as even adding it into your flight. And certainly not the same as getting a full pour or buying a 4-pack. So it's kind of an opportunity to try some things that you may not otherwise do. A couple of the ones that I took pictures of just so that I could remember them. Oliphant had a strawberry pickle beer that was very interesting. We'll say, like I said, I'm trying these beers because I'm intrigued because I haven't seen something like that before. And
Is that
the
the
other
most
thing,
fun beer though ever? Like, I mean, strawberry.
yeah, I don't know how, I don't know what kind of meeting they were in that's what they came up with. But they got there. And
perfect.
I saw not one, but two different cotton candy sours. One of them was a grape cotton candy sour, and I can't remember what brewery it was at, but I did take a picture. The other one was at Barntown, which is another Iowa brewery, believe it or not. So, and I enjoyed getting, I know some of my other favorites. I always enjoy Perennial out of St. Louis is one of my favorites. I really love the stuff that they make. St. Louis has got several breweries. Second Shift is always fun to get to see their stuff, and Civil Life. So lot of great breweries. Obviously, I tried to hit up a couple of the Wisconsin breweries that I haven't visited before, but it's fun to get to try more of the regional breweries that you don't see in distribution around here. Is kind of the big goal of, obviously, for Great Taste. At least for me, it is.
Yeah, I'll say the Fair State had one of the standouts for me, and it was like a little table beer, mixed fermentation, wood aged session saison. So it'd be like a little table beer with some funk to it. It's a kind of a profile very similar to something that Venture here in Milwaukee did a few years ago called Tiny Boss, and I just love that little profile. It's like such a little tiny beer. It's perfect for the festival. Late in the day, you're feeling all those little beers, and all the alcohol starting to add up, and it was just a great, cutting through all that palate fatigue and without hitting you over the head with it. And dude, I gotta say, I was with my colleague Barry Adams, who went to his first Great Taste for colleague at the State Journal. He covers the beer industry from the business side for the State Journal, and we were hanging out for a while, and we stopped over at Delta, and Will was there and he was pouring whatever, and Barry goes, "Oh, that orange soda," and I'm like, "Bro, what?" I'm like, "Okay," and he gave me a sip of it. It was awesome. I am a soda idiot. I love soda, American idiot, in fact. But I mean, it had that like creamy dreamsicle orange profile, super sweet. I mean, maybe it was just like, like there are festival beer pours that are like, yes, I had 2 ounces of that, and that is perfect, and I don't want any more of it. And it kind of had a little bit of that, but because it was so sweet. But man, it was so good. So yeah, and
well, you had a boba tea beer too, or something, didn't you?
I kind of didn't have it, but
that's right. Somebody else got it though that we were with.
Cunin from Michigan. They're one of kind of the OG Midwestern breweries. They have one of their kind of, I don't know if it's flagship, but it's always at the Great Taste, and it's always a good choice. Their double rice IPA, Drippa, they call it. So they did a version. They took that and then like distilled it, which I don't know if that's like totally legal or whatever, but they basically made a sake out of it. I guess sake is fermented though, so it's like a yeast. I don't know. Whatever. They took their drippa and sake'd it up, and then and that's like crazy enough. But then they boba'd it with like the little balls and the short little straws, and they did some fruit additions to it, like passion fruit and I forget what the other one was, but it was crazy. And you're walking around in your little tasting glass with like these little like those balls in it. It was pretty cool. I mean, that what a perfect Great Taste thing is. I mean, like that is, I mean, just getting wild. And I'll say one other thing about the Great Taste this year, and it's kind of weather adjacent, but we always talk about, we interview frequently the Great Taste organizers and have them talk about the taste. But this story is kind of it's kind of a window into the way that they run this festival. So they knew it was not going to be as hot as usual, and apparently when you have 6,000 people or 8,000 people or whatever it is in the park, and they're not sweating as much, they pee more because you're holding in you're holding in moisture that you would otherwise be sweating out. So they apparently, this is what happens when you run a festival for like 30 years, a beer festival for 30 years. You have enough experience to know when it's cooler, the lines for the porta potties are longer. So they took action on this when they saw the forecast and saw that it was going to be 72 degrees instead of 85 like it usually is. They ordered a bunch of extra porta potties. And think about what, like, all of what that means. Like, they knew enough to they knew it, first of all. Then that's experience. And then they wanted to act on it. They said, that's not acceptable. We want to have a great guest experience, and that means not waiting in line for a porta potty for more than 30 seconds or 2 minutes, or I don't know. But like, I mean, that's just how it is there, which is crazy because there's so many people. And then being able to pull that off and having a vendor that can say, yeah, I can get you a dozen more porta potties like in 2 days. I mean, it's hats off to MHTG. I mean, when I heard that story, I was like, what? It's great. It's a great festival. Let's go next year. Shall we?
Shout out to the MTHG. Yes. My club, proud of them. They always put on a good show. They always do good. They're very calculated and smart about how they do it, and they're just great. Love them. So that sounds like fun, y'all. Barrel Flow was amazing. One of the best brewers there will be at Pilot Project, which is Funky Town. Chrissy will be able to have them, but we've had them before, and you've met them before, and they're excellent fellas. So that'll be fun. One thing here, y'all, I would like to announce, as my colleagues here know, I am a man of many ideas. Some of them great, some of them horrible. Some of them make it here, like we've made it here. Some of them never make it past me calling Joel and saying, yo, Joel, what do you think about this idea? So one of the ideas I've had recently that I haven't been able to talk to y'all is I'm going to try to figure out a way that we could figure out what's Wisconsin brewing, or what's brewing, meaning we can bring a couple different breweries or a couple different beers that breweries are making to y'all around the state of Wisconsin, that we see all the time, but we don't have time on this broadcast to generally bring them up. And now, if you would go to our, where is this at here? If you go to our, because I know Joel wants to eventually plug this, but go to our Twitter page. You'll see that Joel and I do a lot of retweeting of different beers that are being made, special beers, charity beers. There's a lot of charity beers being made that don't necessarily fit into the news and don't necessarily fit anywhere. But I'm going to try to work with the fellas here to either make our own segment, or maybe we could cram it in at the end of the news. Just some special beers that are being brewed that maybe people should know about, because sometimes these brews are being literally brewed right under our noses, and sometimes we just don't have an idea because there's just so many breweries and so many things going on, especially in the summer when there's 4 and 5 and 6 things happening. And you're going on vacation, and Joel's going to Alaska, and Chris is up in Green Bay, and it's just like we're all over the place. So we're gonna have a what's brewing section for y'all coming soon. So I wanted to announce that. And after that, unless y'all are Joel is gonna have a big announcement coming soon, but I don't think he's ready. And Chris is always doing something as the Beer Baron and Milwaukee Magazine.
Oh, one thing I'll plug real quick. I'm going to be sharing a panel of speakers at Cap Times Idea Fest in Madison in September 16th. And it's going to be it is September, I think September 16th. Let me see here.
Monday. Monday, September 16th.
Schedule. But if you go to captimesideafest.com, I'm not sure it's actually been announced yet what day it is. But you can coming up soon. Oh, here it is. Find tickets. But it's a whole week of discussions and like intellectual ideas, and we're having it. I think it's at the High Noon. I should shut my mouth. You should go to follow along at captimesideafest.com for the official announcement and the actual date of when that is. But, I'm excited. We've got a great panel of brewery folks that I don't think I can announce yet, but it's going to be a really interesting discussion about the state of craft beer and where the beer business is at, the craft beer business is at. So you can imagine kind of some of the people who might be involved in that from the Madison area.
Yeah, I might see you there. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Joel, any last comments or statements?
No.
Before we get out of here, about an hour and a half.
Yeah, no, I know. That's why we'll catch. I'll have more stuff going on. I know I've been talking to both you guys behind the scenes about book stuff going on, and things are moving along quickly now, and hopefully I'm thinking next month I have a cover, and I'll probably share that soon, and then next month I'm sure I'll have a lot more to share, and we can start hopefully planning out. I've already got 4 breweries on the agenda to host events for after the book's released.
Awesome.
So I'm sure there will be a lot more once I actually start reaching out. I haven't even been reaching out to breweries. So this has all been kind of on the ease. So it'll be fun to do all that promotional stuff here. But otherwise, yeah, just combing through the proofreading stages, which is arguably the most fun stage of book reading for sure. No, it's not. It's absolutely terrible. I hate it. But it's a very, very necessary part of writing a book, though.
I was gonna say, like, you're kind of besmirching my my trade right there.
Yeah, no, I know. I do. I have professionals that are doing it, but now I have to go back through and basically make any last minute changes, and then the next copy I send in of the book is the one that gets printed. So it's a little pressure situation of, okay, like I said, that first brewery that the week after I send in my final copy, the first brewery that closes to be a real punch at the chest, but that's just how it goes. So yeah,
it's exciting times.
It is.
All right, y'all. I believe the next Badger Beer Hour is Wednesday, September the 18th. And the reason I say I believe is because the last 2 have been pushed back a week. So it's either going to be the 18th or the 25th, y'all. So probably the 18th.
I'm pretty sure that my Cap Times idea is Thursday of that week. So could mean it. You might want to hold open the 18th for Badger Beer Hour and the 19th for Cap Times Idea Fest if you're still listening. If you are one of the champion listeners still on the cast at this point, you're hardcore. So,
all right, y'all. We're out of here. Thanks for another great month. Thanks, Joel. Look for Joel Brewery Travers. Look for Chris Josner, Wisconsin Beer Baron. Y'all, I'm Daddy Porter. Greg Washington. Cheers.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks again for Eric Rykal. Got his name right again. For Modicum Brewing. And yeah, we'll see y'all. Shout out to Landon. And we'll see y'all next month.
Bye, y'all.